Welcome to Cage Minds. I'm your host, Mika Frankl, and today we're joined by Joseph Jojo Chavez. He's Mighty Joe on Instagram, and then the email is even cooler, Heel Hook Joe.
I had to just make that email, bro. I was hanging out with my buddy Estig, training partner of mine, and I was like, dude, I got to think of a cool name for my new email because I was registering for some tournaments, and I was like, you know what, dude, Heel Hook Joe is pretty cool.
Definitely cool, sir. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, dude. Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. And obviously, everybody, we're talking to Joe because he's our first ever Combat Sports Club champion. So how's it feel to make a little bit of history a couple weekends ago?
Dude, it feels really cool, bro. I kind of grew up doing this tournament. The Grapplefest was like the only tournament in New Mexico for the longest time. And when I was a kid, I used to like register and I used to set up the tournament so I could compete for free when I was like 14. So they were like, hey, we're gonna have a Grapplefest championship. I was like, dude, I'm gonna get in that for sure. I'll be the first one. So I was happy I was able to do that. That was cool.
Well, take me all the way back. When did this martial arts journey begin on the mats?
Oh, I was about 14 years old, dude. Well, my mom always had me in martial arts. Like when I was a kid, I was doing karate and taekwondo and all kinds of stuff, man. I would like go to the Boys and Girls Club and box when I was like little. But Jiu-Jitsu for me started when I was 14, when I was in high school. Because I kind of wanted to wrestle, dude, but I was a bad kid in school. So I wasn't making grades and anything like that. So my jiu-jitsu instructor did not care about that. He was like, dude, get a gi, start training. And I fell in love with it, dude, right off the bat. So that's 10 years ago, man. I'm 24 now. So I've been training for 10 years and the time goes by so fast, man. You know, I feel like I was a white belt yesterday, you know?
And what are you officially?
I'm a brown belt. So I'm a brown belt. I got my brown belt 2 years ago under Carlo Lopez and Esteban Martinez, the Giant Slayer. So I'm underneath them, and I kind of came up through the same people. I got my white belt, my first stripe on my white belt from Carlo, and he put the most recent stripe on my brown belt. So I've been true to my people. I've been with the same people the whole time, man. So I'm working towards that black belt, man. It's kind of scary to think about, but I feel like I need to bust my butt and get in there, compete, and I'm on the right track, hopefully. So.
A decade of training. How big of a goal and an accomplishment the same would that black belt be?
Bro, that's like, it's hard to put into words, man, because I felt like when I was a kid looking at black belts, I was like a celebrity, dude. You know, I don't know if you ever like went to a basketball game or something and saw like when I started training, my professor, my coach was a purple belt. I met him when he was a purple belt. And I remember the first time I saw a black belt, I was like, dude, what is this? This guy's like, it was cool to me. It was like seeing like a celebrity or something. And I'm like, now I get to tie a brown belt around my waist, and I'm like, I get to train with world-class black belts from time to time, and it's like, it's cool. It's kind of unreal sometimes, but I feel like, you know, it's something I've always worked towards. So trying to get there, man.
How many years in did it take to get this kind of Zen mode that you're in? Because I've seen you even to the first Grapplefest as a referee in the ring for us, and you're just so calm and composed throughout the whole process of everything.
You know what I think that was, man? I think I'm gonna give a shout out to my buddy Esteban Martinez because so when I started jiu-jitsu, I was super nervous to compete. Like just like everybody, bro. You go to a tournament and you get the nerves. You got to run to the restroom every 5 minutes, and then you're like, oh, who's looking at me? And what helped me was my buddy kind of pushed me to compete. He'd be like, dude, just sign up for as many tournaments as you can. And I remember there was a period of time when I was a blue belt. I did a tournament like at least every month, man. I was competing so much as a kid. I was like probably 16 years old, and I was competing so much. And during that time, I kind of developed okay, I'm not going to get nervous for this. You know what I mean? I just got so comfortable doing it. And that combined with just hours on the mat, dude, you know, I feel like there's no position I'll ever be in a competition that I haven't been in 100 times in the training room, you know? So I feel like that confidence kind of just stems from, I've been here before, you know. Everyone plays jiu-jitsu different, but the positions are the same. The transitions are the same, no matter who you're going against. So I just feel comfortable on the mats, no matter where I'm at. I feel like the mats are like my home. So I try to, hopefully I can never lose that. Hopefully I keep competing and I can continue to stay active and I'll just forever be calm. But I definitely get nervous sometimes, dude. The guy I fought in the finals was a beast. He was like heel hooking everybody, toe holding everybody. And I was like, okay, this guy plays the same kind of game I do. So for sure getting a little nervous, but that's what keeps you sharp, I guess. If I wasn't getting nervous, if I was just like lackadaisical, I wouldn't train so hard, So it's kind of like a balance type thing there.
Yeah, how do you balance out that internal combustion, all the emotions? Believe me, I'm there doing commentary, look cool as a cucumber on the outside to the rest of us.
I feel you. Yeah, no, for sure. It's tough, man. I just kind of remind myself like no matter what, you know what I mean? I feel like the outcome of the tournament is already determined. The person who has the best jujitsu, that's already decided before the day even started. So I just try to like think back on my training. Like I know how hard I train. So I'm just like, okay, there's no way this guy's putting in as much work as me or like to sacrifice as much as me. And plus I try to have a game. Like I understand the way I do jujitsu very well. So I try to like just trust in that. Like those are the techniques that I've trusted on and have worked for me forever. So I kind of have confidence in them through the years.
Through these years of training, what year was it? When was it that you learned what your game was, what you wanted to go for?
That's a good question, bro. I feel like from the time I got my brown belt, I've changed how I do jujitsu completely, which is so crazy. And I've talked to other guys who train that are really good, and they say the same thing. Like, dude, I don't roll. I know black belt world champions who have been like, dude, I don't roll the same as I did a year ago, and they're like, game's completely changing. So for me, I felt like I always was like trying to be a guard passer and trying to like be top and wrestle and submit, and I never used like my natural attributes to my benefit. But lately, I've kind of been figuring out how to use my length. I'm a real like long and lean kind of guy, so I kind of been figuring out how to use that to the best of my ability and trying to put together my game. You know what I mean? So
In my humble opinion, the thing that I was most impressed with your game is the way you're able to hide your feet behind your opponent. Because as you're playing the leg lock game, it's the natural instinct to want to go for it on your opponent. And those guys couldn't find your foot to start.
yeah, that's like they call it double trouble, right? Like if I draw back and I go on your leg, you got kind of, there's certain positions where you're safe, but you have the same opportunity. You could grab a toe hold, you could go on a straight ankle lock. Um, I think it just goes back to like hours of training, man. I train with guys who are really good at leg locks out there in North Carolina, man. And it's like that's a big part of my game. Like everybody I fought, I was able to heel hook them pretty quickly. I think the first guy took me a couple minutes, took me like 6, 7, 8 minutes. But the last two guys, I was able to get in there really quickly, and I was just confident. And if they go from my foot, I know if they go and try to attack the same thing that I'm doing, I was just trusting in my technique. Like I'm gonna stay safe. I'm gonna make sure. Like I try to be defensive first. Like I try to make sure that I'm safe first. And then once I'm safe and I have the position, then you're going to see me start ripping on their foot and trying to get the break. You know what I mean? I try to stay away from 50-50 positions or positions where they could even counter, super easily. There's always the counter, but I try to solidify a good position to where, like how you said, my feet are safe. They're not going to be able to get to it. And I'm just constantly attacking. I'm just constantly exposing their heel, getting a bite on a straight ankle, just trying to do something to get my transitions going.
And we talked about it before we got on, and I got to bring it up now. At the event, I've never seen so many guys from different gyms around one guy. It seems like you know somebody from everywhere.
Yeah, man, that was actually cool to see that. I was lucky. I got like there's probably like 10 to 15 different teams at the event. And I'm confident I at least knew one person from every team. The jiu-jitsu scene in New Mexico is so small, man. I feel like it's everybody's like everybody's good here, bro. The jiu-jitsu is good here in New Mexico, but a lot of the times, especially when I started jiu-jitsu, it was very like cliquish. Like, hey, you train with these people, you're not going to train with those people. Like, oh, you're part of this team, we don't even talk to those people. And now I go to tournaments, I'm like, what's up? I got my Rio Rancho one jiu-jitsu homies saying what's up to my 10th Planet homies, and I got guys training at different gyms saying what's up to me. I know some guys from Jackson's. I know some guys from Latrell's. My buddy Jose has a program, the Ground Assassins. So it's cool, man. It's definitely cool, and I'm lucky to be able to say I've spent hours on the mat with pretty much every team, you know. So it's cool, man. I think that helps my jujitsu a lot too, being able to go around and meet everybody and see everybody plays a different game. The 10th Planet people roll a lot different than my friends in Rio Rancho at One Jiu-Jitsu. So like being able to get a piece of that and get those different looks on a weekly basis, I think helps me a lot when I'm here, you know? So that's really cool. And then seeing them go and compete against each other is awesome too, because it's just fun. We just keep getting each other better, whether we training together like a friendly open mat or if it's a competition. Everyone's getting each other better at the end of the day. So that's really cool to me.
So is it correct to say that you're constantly pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone as you're hitting new open mats, new partners, so it's new styles?
Dude, I search everywhere for someone to beat me up, and I'm so happy. I go to 10th Planet and someone will pass my guard and like mount me. I'm like, okay, awesome. You know what I mean? I'll go to One Jiu-Jitsu. My boy Rudy will throw the gi on and he'll start wrapping me up. I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is perfect. That's the goal, man. Hey, you gotta look for that uncomfortable position to get better. It's like a saying, like you have to sweat more in practice so you could bleed less in battle, something like that. I think that's true. It's super true. You gotta put in the hard work. You gotta be uncomfortable. You gotta get beat up in practice. That way, when you compete, it's way easier than your training. Competition should feel like easier than your training. That's how hard you should be training. I try to stick to that. So
Are you still sticking to the old mentality of signing up for as many competitions as you can? How often are you competing?
that's a tough one, man. I could definitely do more tournaments than I do now. But I try to compete a lot. I try to compete a lot. There's some local ones that I pass up because sometimes there's like one guy in the bracket, two guys in the bracket, and I'm like, no, today I'm gonna dedicate myself to. I got 10 kids competing, I got 15 kids competing, and 10 adults competing. Okay, today I'm gonna set aside and try to take care of my guys. But definitely, man, I definitely try to get that out there and compete as much as possible. You can see me. I'm gonna be in Florida in a couple of weeks competing at Pan Am's. That will be in the gi. No heel hooks. They're taking away my game, but it'll be fun, bro. I'll still be out there trying to stay active, man. And if I'm not competing, I try to be training so hard that it's like I might as well be competing. You know what I mean?
And how much bigger of a challenge or interesting of a challenge is it for you to take on something like a gi competition where you're not going to have those heel hooks?
It changes a lot, man. It really does. I feel like it's almost like you could they're pretty much two different sports at this point. No-gi jiu-jitsu is played so much differently than gi jiu-jitsu. And the crazy part is I came up in the gi. When I was training from white belt all the way to purple belt, I did one no-gi practice a week and all my training was in the gi. Um Now that I'm a brown belt, I feel like my no-gi game is so solid, man. My no-gi game is very strong and stronger than my gi game. A lot of that has to do with, like I said, with like the leg lock games and some of the rules that get to change with the positions you have to stay away from. But I'm comfortable in the gi, man. Jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu at the end of the day. Like I could flip the switch. I could go, okay, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna Imanari roll. I'm gonna try to heel hook this guy. And then okay, now I can play warm guard. I can play squid guard. I know all the fancy lapel guards. I know how to break grips, you know. So it's just takes a little adjusting, man. But I feel like to be a true to be like a true jujitsu fighter, you got to train in the gi. There's some guys out there who, you know, a lot, especially lately, it's like the gi is becoming a lot less popular. But I think it's so cool, dude. You know what I mean? It's awesome. And to be honest with you, I've bounced like as a job, and training in the gi has saved me a couple times. I've seen grip fighting as a very important tool in self defense. So I think that's underappreciated that people don't talk about in the gi. I think it actually has a lot of self defense. Has a lot to offer for self defense. You know.
Oh, definitely I feel like the gi, we were even talking about during the competition and on the commentary that you could see a little bit more of the self-defense aspects where Nogi feels more competition and MMA kind of based, almost wrestling based.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. For sure. There's a balance. There's definitely a balance there, but I agree with you. I feel like And it's a tough thing. I feel like as an athlete, if I'm gonna say, okay, hey man, my goal this year, I'm gonna go win Nogi Worlds, I can't be training in the gi 2-3 times a week. Like as an athlete, you're gonna have to make that decision. I have this competition coming up, I'm not touching the gi, or vice versa. I have this competition coming up, I'm in the gi twice a day, every day. You know what I mean? So as a martial artist, I want to be well rounded and I want to be able to do both. But as an athlete, sometimes when I have a competition coming up, I kind of flip the switch and change gears. So
And how important part of your game is being a teacher? How big of a aspect has that added?
that's helped me a lot, man. So I was kind of lucky. My coach threw me on the mats with the kids class when I was like 16 or 17 as a blue belt, and I had to start teaching scissor sweeps and spider guard sweeps and simple stuff like that. Now that I teach, I have like an adults program and I have a kids program. It helps me so much, man. Like fundamentals is everything. Like the game of jujitsu is so beautiful and like extravagant. There's really complex positions, and it's like you could break down one move and you could talk about that move for an hour. But it's also very simple. Like it's also comes down to all fundamentals. Like who's winning the grip exchange, who's establishing their grips first and using it, and who's not, or who's fighting for this position, whether you're looking for inside position, upper body or lower body, or outside, who understands what, you know what I mean? All that's kind of boils down to, it's like the most simple complex thing there is. I don't know if that makes sense, but the fundamentals are there. So preaching them over and over again when I'm teaching helps me so much, man, because there's not techniques that I forget about. I never forget about the scissor sweep, but teaching it is like, oh yeah, this is here, and then I'll start hitting that in practice. Like I never did this scissor sweep, now I'm hitting it again in practice, or whatever basic fundamental move I teach. It's always good to go back, man. So I think it does help me a lot. It definitely keeps me sharp. And then answering questions too. I'll go teach a move, and then somebody's like, what about this? And I'm like, it makes me think like, yeah, actually, let me give this guy a legit answer. I really don't know. If I don't know, I try to find out, and if I do, then it makes me think about that more in depth. So it's a huge help, man. It really is.
And talk to us a little bit and tell us about your program.
So my program it's in Rio Rancho. It's called Able Fit. The gym is called Able Fit. We're still thinking of a team name, but I've been teaching there coming up in the summertime. In a couple months, it'll be 2 years, man. And kind of built a program from scratch. We had when I started there was like a couple kids, maybe 2 or 3 kids, and a handful of adults. And now we have a full competition force, man. We roll out to these tournaments 10, 15 kids deep, 10 adults deep. We're new, so most of them are white belts and blue belts. But it's fun, bro. It's really a cool thing to build it up from where it was to what it is now. And I had the honor of, teaching what I know to people and seeing them go from literally no jujitsu to I'm throwing this kid in a blue belt bracket and he's submitting everybody. And it's not credit to me. That's just credit to somebody. Everything I taught him, somebody taught me. I'm just a messenger. But it's so cool to build that bond with people and see them build confidence and everything that goes with jujitsu. It's like it's worth more than any paycheck. You know what I mean? Especially with the kids program, man. It's so rewarding. Some of these kids they come in and like they won't even talk. They don't even have enough confidence. I'll be like, hey, what's up, buddy? Mutter under their breath, and then like 3 months from now, they're hitting on bars and they're running around playing with their friends and they're outgoing. It's super rewarding, bro. I love it.
When did you know from your journey that jiu-jitsu was going to be such a major part of your life? Not just your life, but it's your job, it's your hobby. It seems to be everything.
At blue belt, I made a decision at blue belt. I made a conscious decision. I was like, I didn't even know why I was doing it so much at white belt. I just liked it and I was having fun. And I was like, dude, I want to do this tournament. I want to win the Grapplefest. You know what I mean? And then I was like, kept getting beat up. And then I stayed around in training. And then I remember being a blue belt and I was just like, you know what? Like I could do it. I could be just as good as anybody. So I was like, I feel like that's a big part of it is you have to you have to tell yourself, and you even have to have the confidence to be able to speak it out loud. Like whatever your goal is, I want to be a black belt, or I want to be a black belt world champion, or I just want to win the next local Naga, whatever it is. Like you got to make that decision, and then your actions got to go according. So I was a blue belt. I remember being a blue belt, and I made my mind up like this is what I want to do. Whether I'm teaching, whether I'm competing, I just want to be on the mats.
It's a lot of stuff. It seems like a lot of fun that you've been through. What's the most fun part about jiu-jitsu?
the most fun for me is actually like traveling, man. Like you gotta go travel to different states. I've seen, dude, if it wasn't for jujitsu, I probably would rarely leave New Mexico. I would just be here. I don't even know what I would be doing, but I couldn't see myself traveling as much as I do. Like now, in the last couple months, I was in Florida. I was in Jacksonville, Florida. I was in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. I was in North Carolina, California training, Texas. You know what I mean? Traveling all over, and just like the stories that you acquire from like, and then you get to sit back and like some of my friends are like, dude, remember that trip we went on 5 years ago where we got locked out of the car and it was like a nightmare, and then we look back like, oh, dude, that was fun. You know what I mean? To me, that's the most fun. That's what makes me enjoy it so much. It's just like the camaraderie with the teammates and like the experiences, and of course getting out there and competing and winning. But it's much deeper than that for sure.
What was that moment like when you got your first stripe on the white belt?
My first stripe for my white belt, I felt like I didn't deserve it. I felt like it was a mistake. I signed up for jiu-jitsu, and I think like 2 weeks after that was a seminar. I was training every day. Like my coach couldn't get rid of me. I would do kids class, and then I'd be like, dude, can I do adults class? So they had a seminar 2 weeks after I started, and I was training a lot. But the guy who did the seminars, Joao Cunha seminar, old school pitbull jiu-jitsu black belt, and I can't remember who came with him, but there was another black belt, and so they were doing promotions, and I remember he was like, "What about that kid? That kid's good." He was watching me fight, and I was like, "Oh, I don't deserve it." I felt like you had to be there. I didn't know how long you had to be there, but they gave me my stripe, and I was just like, "What? This is crazy." I remember like looking at my belt, like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool." You know, it's funny, like a little piece of tape. You know what I mean? You work so hard for it. And even now, like when people get black belts, it's just like you be a black belt, but you got to be a black belt for 3 years, then you get another piece of tape. You know, it's like what it resembles is what you're after. You know, what it what it represents. I mean, is like it's what makes it all worth it.
What was that first competition submission like?
Um, it was like discovering you had a superpower that you didn't know you had. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what a triangle was. And I hit a triangle in a tournament, and I was like, "Holy! I could actually choke somebody out with my legs. This is outrageous!" Like I was like, "This is cool. It's super cool." And then you get addicted to it, and I'm like, "Well, if I could beat this guy, if I could win this white belt tournament, I'd probably just train hard and I could win a blue belt tournament." And then that becomes I could win. I could be better than all these purple belts. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, I could be better than all these brown belts. And hopefully in a couple of years, I'm looking at the best black belts in the world. Like, okay, dude, you know, let's see what's going on. I could beat these guys, you know.
Is that where the mindset's at, that you'll always be able to find one more goal?
Yeah, there's gonna be no limit in jujitsu. I feel like the the game changes so fast. You see new techniques coming out, or even old techniques that are just changed a little bit, and athletes are working hard all over the world. You can never say, "Oh, I accomplished this." Like now I'm good. Now I'm like the best, and I feel like I'll always strive for the next thing. And maybe it changes from, "Hey, my next goal is this competition," to now I want my students who are black belts to win world championships. You know what I mean? But I feel like there'll always be that next level to something to look forward to.
And Nick already threw it out there. Somebody wants that Combat Sports Club belt. They got to come get it from you. So, what does it mean to now have a title to defend, to kind of be a champion of a promotion, to be the start of this new leg of Combat Sports Club?
Dude, it's exciting. I hope they train hard for me, bro, because I'll be ready. You know what I mean? That they'll probably see what I did in the last tournament, and I had pretty good success early on. So they'll probably figure out, try to stay away from leg locks and stuff, see if they can make it more competitive. But I train hard, man, and I keep getting better faster. You know, hopefully I try to train so that I'm improving faster than anybody. And the better you get, the harder it gets to improve fast, especially. But mate, that's what makes it exciting, man. That's what's going to push me when I'm tired in the middle of training and I want to sit out around. I'm like, oh yeah, there's probably a guy over there trying to think he's going to beat me at the next tournament. I'm going to hop in and go this extra round. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to make sure that I understand this position or this new whatever it is. I'm going to make sure I'm on the leading edge of the new jiu-jitsu that's coming out. So it motivates me.
And how did you assess your performance just overall on that day? 3 heel hooks and 2 of them fairly quickly.
Uh, I was happy. So I had a goal. I set a goal, man, and I actually told a couple of my friends. I said I want to submit all of my opponents in under 3 minutes. So that was true twice. My last 2 matches was twice. The guy I fought in the first match, I don't know if he had what his deal was. I popped both of his legs a couple times before he tapped out. So I went back and watched the fight, and I had him in the saddle like 30 seconds into the fight, and a pretty deep heel hook, and I let go because I felt it pop. But he didn't tap out to it, and I was like, "Oh, this kid's tough." That was the most physical hard match because I had to like really work to break his leg. You know what I mean? I had to like really put some strength into getting the break, which I eventually did. So I was happy. I felt like I was not in any bad spots ever. If you scored all the matches, I got 2 points scored on me. I went for a guillotine in my last match, and if it was a scored match, he would have came up on a sweep. So I got 2 points scored on me in 3 matches, and I got 3 submissions. So I could work on that. I got to work on that sweep. I went back and kind of saw like I kind of just had my hips a little bit too close to him. I should have snapped him down and kind of rode more of a front headlock position. But I was happy, bro. It was a good day. It was a good day.
He's Joseph Chavez. Jojo's the nickname. Go learn jujitsu from him, or if you challenge him, you'll probably get heel hooked. Sir, it was great getting to talk to you today. Before we let you go, we've talked a lot of jujitsu. What's the #1 hobby outside of jujitsu?
Outside of jiu-jitsu, a lot of people don't know this, man. I'm a Golden Glove champion. I love the box. I love the box, man. I have a lot of fun with it. I shout out to my friends. There's a great boxing gym in Albuquerque called Power Plant Boxing. I learned boxing with those guys for plenty of years. So if I'm not on the mats and for whatever reason I'm having fun, you'll probably catch me with some headgear on, throwing some hands, dude. I love to do it.
Oh man, love those guys. Got to talk to them a couple times and lead up to fights. So yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
really do get everywhere in Albuquerque, don't you?
everywhere, man. I know all the boxers too, man. I go to the boxing events, and I'm lucky enough to kind of know everybody, and then try to get some MMA training in. You know, I don't see myself doing MMA, but I like to hang out with those guys. You know what I mean? So I try to be active in the community, bro. I feel like we all stick together. New Mexico sticks together. We can build a great jiu-jitsu system here. Great network and stuff. So it's cool.
Awesome. Thank you for the time, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.